Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. You ready to go?
Absolutely. I'm excited for this one.
Awesome. I'm thinking we just dive right in. We're going deep today into the fascinating world of English vocabulary and idioms.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. You might think you already know these words, but trust me, we're going to uncover some layers of meaning and history.
Oh, I bet.
That'll surprise you. Today, we're tackling 4 unique examples.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, let's start with hullabaloo.
Great word.
I know, right? Like, there was quite a hullabaloo in the street when the parade unexpectedly passed by.
Love that word.
It's just so fun to say,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's almost like the word itself is mimicking the chaos
It really is.
that it describes.
And that's no coincidence. Hullabaloo, meaning a commotion or a noisy fuss, likely emerged in the mid-18th century, possibly from Scottish dialects. It's a great example of what we call onomatopoeia,
Oh, yeah.
words that imitate the sounds they represent. Just think hullabaloo is far more evocative than simply saying commotion. Absolutely. You can practically hear the crowds and the music and the general excitement
Mm-hmm.
just by saying the word.
For sure.
It paints such a vivid picture in your mind.
And that's part of the power of language, isn't it? Certain words have this inherent ability to transport us to a particular scene
Yeah.
or evoke a specific emotion.
Now, speaking of evocative words, let's shift gears from noisy chaos to a completely different kind of energy, or rather a lack thereof. Have you ever felt that kind of crushing tiredness where even the smallest tasks
Oh, yeah,
feel impossible?
for sure.
After staying up all night, I felt too lethargic to get anything done the next day. You know that feeling, right?
Ah, yes. The dreaded state of lethargy.
It's like your whole system is saying,
It's more than just being tired.
nope, we're powering down, do not disturb.
It's a feeling of sluggishness, a lack of energy and motivation that can be both physical and mental.
Exactly. And if we delve into the etymology,
Oh, I love that emoji.
it gets even more interesting.
It does.
The word lethargic comes from the Greek word thargos, which means forgetful or inactive. So there's this element of mental fogginess,
Right.
almost like a temporary amnesia woven into the meaning.
Wow.
That's fascinating. It's not just about feeling physically drained. It's like your brain is also taking a break from processing
It is.
information.
Yeah.
I've definitely experienced that feeling of being both physically and mentally exhausted.
Totally.
Like even thinking requires too much effort.
Absolutely. Now, we could use words like sluggish or lazy to describe this feeling.
Yeah.
And they're certainly not incorrect. But lethargic really captures that specific combination of physical and mental weariness.
And there's a certain sophistication to it, wouldn't you say?
Definitely.
It's not just laziness, it's a state of being almost like a temporary condition.
Precisely. It's a nuanced word that speaks to a very specific experience.
Okay, let's move from the depths of lethargy to a phrase we use for things that happen, well, almost never. Once in a blue moon. Like, he only attends parties once in a blue moon, preferring to stay at home most weekends. We all know what it means. But have you ever stopped to consider the actual origins of this idiom?
I love this one.
I bet you do.
Well, I think you'll be surprised to learn that it's actually rooted in astronomy.
Oh, really?
A blue moon is a real phenomenon that occurs when we have 2 full moons within a single calendar month.
Wait, so it actually happens?
Yeah,
I always thought it was just a saying.
it does happen, but it's relatively rare,
Right.
occurring roughly every 2.7 years. So while not as infrequent as the phrase might suggest,
Right.
it's still a special occurrence.
So it's not completely made up.
Right.
That's pretty cool, but here's another question.
Yeah.
Does the moon actually turn BLUE during a blue moon?
That's the thing, it doesn't. The blue is purely symbolic, representing something unusual or unexpected. Think of it as a way of emphasizing the rarity of an event.
So it's more about the infrequency than the actual color. That makes a lot of sense. But I have to say, once in a blue moon just sounds so much more interesting than saying
It does.
rarely or infrequently.
Absolutely. It's evocative and memorable, and it adds a touch of whimsy to our language. Now think about it for a second. What's something in your life that happens once in a blue moon? Something you really cherish because of its rarity?
That's a great question. It really makes you appreciate those special moments, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And it highlights how language can connect us to our own personal experiences
Yeah.
in powerful ways.
All right, let's wrap up this part of our deep dive with a phrase that's all about taking charge and setting boundaries. Put your foot down.
Ah, yes, a powerful idiom indeed. It signifies taking a firm and decisive stance, often to stop something you disapprove of. Think of someone saying she finally put her foot down and refused to work overtime without extra pay.
It's like that moment when you decide enough is enough and you refuse to budge.
Right.
Imagine someone literally planting their foot down, stomp, like a visual representation of their unwavering determination.
It's a great way to visualize it. And if we dig a little deeper, the phrase connects to the physical act of establishing a firm stance, showing resistance.
It really is a powerful image, isn't it? And it speaks to that inner strength we all have, that ability to say no and stand up for ourselves.
Exactly. It's about setting boundaries and enforcing them. It's about having the courage to say, this is where I draw the line.
Now, I'm curious, have you ever been in a situation where you had to put your foot down? What was that like?
Well, I wouldn't say it was a dramatic showdown or anything.
Right.
But there was this one time, let's just say it involved a particularly persistent telemarketer.
Oh, yeah.
And my unwavering determination to enjoy a peaceful evening at home.
I feel that.
I finally had to put my foot down and tell them in no uncertain terms to stop calling.
I can totally relate to that. We've all had those moments where we just have to assert ourselves, even if it's in a seemingly small way. But you know what's interesting is that putting your foot down isn't just about saying no. It's also about following through, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about backing up your words with actions. It's that moment when you plant your feet firmly and refuse to be moved no matter what.
And that brings us to a fascinating point. We've talked about the origins and meanings of these words and phrases, but I think what's really intriguing is how they can actually shape our thoughts and actions.
That's a profound observation. Language isn't just a tool for communication. It's a framework for understanding the world around us. The words we choose carry weight. They shape perceptions, and they can even nudge us towards certain actions.
It's like if you describe someone as lethargic, you're not just stating a fact, you're also creating an image in the listener's mind, and that image can influence how they perceive that person.
Precisely. And the same goes for ourselves. Yeah. If you tell yourself, I'm going to put my foot down and finally start that project, you're more likely to take decisive action. The words themselves have a power to motivate or discourage.
So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The language we use can actually influence our behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which brings us to a crucial question. How can we use this power of language to our advantage? How can we choose words that empower us, that inspire positive change both in ourselves and in others?
That's such an important question. And it really makes you think about the words you choose both in your internal dialogue and in your conversations with others.
It's a topic worthy of deep reflection. But before we get too lost in the philosophical implications, let's bring it back to our 4 fantastic words. Each one a little window into the richness and complexity of the English language.
We started with hullabaloo, a word that perfectly captures a sense of joyful chaos and excitement. Then we explored lethargic, that feeling of complete mental and physical exhaustion.
We delved into the astronomical origins of once in a blue moon, discovering that it's not just a saying, but a real phenomenon that reminds us to cherish those rare and special moments.
And finally, we unpacked the assertive power of putting your foot down, recognizing that it's about setting boundaries, taking a stand, and backing up our words with actions.
Each word, a reminder that language is more than just a collection of sounds and symbols. It's a living, breathing entity that shapes our thoughts, our actions, and ultimately, our world.
And now we want to turn the conversation over to you. What has resonated most with you during our deep dive today? What word or phrase has sparked a new thought or insight?
What stands out to you? What's something you'll take away from this exploration?
Yeah, it really is amazing how just looking at a few words can spark so many new ideas and connections.
For sure.
It's like we've opened up all these little treasure chests of meaning and history.
We have.
And one of the biggest takeaways, for me at least, is how much power language has to shape our thoughts and our actions.
That's huge.
You know, we use these words and phrases sometimes without even realizing how much weight they carry.
Yeah, like think about putting your foot down.
Right.
It's not just about being stubborn or difficult. Yeah. It's about having the courage to stand up for yourself, to set boundaries, to protect your own well-being.
Powerful stuff.
It is.
And you know what? It highlights how language can be a tool for empowerment.
It can.
When we use words, you know, consciously and deliberately, we can actually influence our own behavior.
For sure.
And how other people perceive us.
You got it.
It's like giving ourselves the pep talk.
Totally.
Or setting an intention just by choosing the right words.
It is.
Like saying, I'm going to conquer this day with energy and enthusiasm.
Love it.
Instead of, I'm so tired. It sounds cheesy, but
Yeah.
it really can make a difference.
It does, and I think it goes even deeper than that.
Yeah.
The words we use not only reflect our thoughts and feelings, but they can shape them too.
Oh, wow.
If we constantly use negative language,
Yeah.
we're more likely to dwell on those negative thoughts.
Right.